Just like rated M. Suck it the fuck up.
That's going in the bloopers, and we're putting a little like over it, okay?
What's up, everybody? NinjaMisfit here, and we're live with AGN.
Hi, everyone. This is Chris, aka Straight Cheeks, live with AGN.
Hi, this is Emeralde, live with AGN.
Hi, this is Thailand, aka Coco, and we're live with AGN.
What's up, everybody? NinjaMisfit here, and we're live with AGN. I don't know if it was like announced years ago, but I guess in an interview, it was found out that Microsoft actually tried to buy like Nintendo, EA, Square Enix, and Midway Games, as well as a few other companies, back when they actually first started getting into the gaming business. Of course, they were denied all of them. What actually happened that they said was that they were laughed at by Nintendo. I mean, could you imagine if Microsoft took over Nintendo games? Like, what would Mario be?
Oh my God, that'd be, it wouldn't be the same. I can't even imagine. But on the other hand, I'm like, what would that have done for them? Because Nintendo's pretty stable.
Right. Like, Nintendo has always been one of those type of gaming companies where I've never seen them as like a low or a high. It's just been like a static thing. Like, they've always done well. You never seen like Nintendo just flop, or they never just done astronomically high. It's just like you can never go wrong with Nintendo in general.
Honestly, I'm just geeked out at the fact that Nintendo had the audacity to just be like, that's cute. Like, honestly, like, Microsoft is such a huge company, and for them to just be like, that's cute or whatever, like, you can keep your colonization, please. Like, that's so crazy. It's mind-blowing to me.
Gentrification, I will get over here.
It was just, I was just reading about it, and I was like, the guy, I forgot who was talking about it, but he was like, it was, you basically, they went to Japan to try to, I guess, propose, like, give them a proposition, and they're like, yeah, it was basically sitting and being laughed at for an hour just in a room.
Wow, that's
That sounds about right.
I mean, I can see Nintendo doing that. They're very like strict about when it comes to like certain things. Like when it comes to like their intellectual property. I don't know if you guys heard, but like they tried to like do like a Smash Ultimate tournament, or a Smash Melee tournament, sorry, on like the old like GameCubes.
Mm-hmm.
And like people were really sad because they couldn't do it because of COVID-19 or the the pandemic. So they tried to like, they basically modded the game to where they could play it online and like still have the tournaments. Well, Nintendo found out about it and they were like, JK, you thought, and they were like, cease and desist. Like they literally sent them a cease and desist and were like, please stop. Like, this is not how our product is intended to be used. I mean, they're kind of right for that. But at the same time, I was like, dang, like, this year has been tolling. Like 2020 and 2021 have not been playing games. And that's literally all we're trying to do is just play games. And y'all can't even let us have that for like 5 seconds, which is insane. Like, what are you guys' thoughts on that?
They've always been super harsh about that. Like historically, for should probably dang near anyone that plays Pokemon, they've had so many like user-made versions of those that they knock out, or before they were really pretty much before the Switch. I was like, they've picked it up quite a bit with the Switch, but before that they were getting kind of iffy with titles, so people were out like revamping their own versions of Mario and stuff, but they are so quick to take that down. It's not even funny, even if it's good, which kind of sucks because I think now with everybody being able to develop a bunch of stuff on their own, some companies have been reaching out and be like, oh, that was actually really flipping cool, you just come over here and do that. And Nintendo's still not having it.
Nintendo's definitely greedy with it. And I wouldn't see them being able to do it anyway, because I think they became more like until recently, they're more family friendly, I would say. Not many violent games or anything. That is until like they came out with the Switch and was able to start porting over games. Like you got Skyrim on the Switch and
That's
80s.
cool.
yeah. So I thought when that happened, I thought that was cool. But I don't know. I mean, it would be cool to see the concept of what would have happened if Microsoft would have bought them, or if they even would have partnered together. Because I do believe they said they even tried to like do a collaboration with them later on, and that was a no-go as well. But I don't know. I mean, considering that back when they had the what was it, Super Nintendo and Sony first came out, like they tried to collaborate together and do like a disc and like some kind of collaboration, which kind of fell through. Sony was like, no, we want to do disc, and Nintendo was like, no, we want to keep the cartridges.
I mean, I think if anything, if a Microsoft and Nintendo kind of like collab happened, I think what we would see today, I don't know when this was like, proposed, but even if it was proposed like in the early like 90s to early 2000s, I think what we would see today in the gaming system, it would be a lot more powerful in terms of not only just a gaming platform, but like a home entertainment platform, which is I think why we're getting like a new Switch Pro sometime this year or next year, which is what Nintendo has kind of been hinting at for like these past few years, is that they want to expand. And even with like the new like Funimation like teaser that they dropped with the Nintendo Switch, like I don't know, I feel like if they're trying to be like an entertainment platform, I only feel like a Microsoft collaboration would help them, especially when Microsoft helps develop things like the Intel i5 and i7 and i10 chips. Like that would just help either their CPU usage or just kind of like the overall like specs for a Switch console or an updated next gen console that's either mobile or just like the Nintendo Switch where it's mobile and home station.
For me, I'm going to be honest, I haven't really been like a Nintendo person from the beginning since I started playing video games. But from what I have noticed since my son has been active in the community is that they have always been like a family friendly or centered game. So whenever my son would ask, it was so family centered that if my son asked for a game, I didn't have to worry about checking up and say like, what's the rating? What is the game about? It's just like, oh yeah, you can go ahead and get it. But now I just feel like Microsoft is slick trying to be like a semi-monopoly, if that makes sense, when it comes to the video gaming industry. Like they already, so they Bethesda.
Oh, Bethesda?
Bethesda. There you go. See, that's why you're going places. You can pronounce it. So they already bought them. And so I felt like that was just a stepping stone of what they're trying to do, because I know this is not the first company that they're going to buy, especially when it comes to the major titles for the games that they plan on producing. And then they plan on finally getting some decent exclusives for them. So I was just like, when it comes to collaboration, sometimes you have to suck up your pride and be like, you know what? We're trying to go this direction. We've never been this route. So let's collaborate with a company that has this experience in going this route, that kind of thing.
And I think Nintendo has kind of been trying to do that. They're still very much adamant on doing it on their own, which is fine. They can do that, especially now. COVID has been very good to them, especially with the Switch.
I can't find one for the life of me.
You'll let me know. I have the little watch thing. I can get you one, I promise. But the Luigi's Mansion 3 came out. That was from an outside company called I think Level Up or Next Level Games, I think.
Oh yeah, I think they just bought them.
Exactly. So they just bought them. So I'm thinking they're trying to like do their own little internal building, especially with that. They're expanding with Super Mario World is about to be open. They've got a lot going on right now.
And they've recently been they've been expanding with a lot of like VR technology and a lot of like real world kind of gaming, where like you could take like Mario Kart, for example. Like they built like a little like Mario that you like drive around your house, and then you use your like mobile app and like it turns it into like Rainbow Road, which is like insane. So I think they're definitely like on the cutting edge of innovation now, but I only feel like that would have been heightened if they were in a collaboration with Microsoft. But there could be some down points. It could have dragged them down under too, because Microsoft could have had like way too much say and been like, this is stupid. We don't like this. So I
Right.
definitely
I
think
feel
it
like
was
they've been a little too
justified.
safe. Like nothing against the Xbox from time to time, but like Xbox and PlayStation, even though I'm a huge PlayStation fangirl, they were trying with their little VR and the Move and stuff, but
Yeah,
I feel like they've been kind of holding back on everybody too.
right. Like I've tried both. I'm just gonna be honest. As of right now, even though it's been a while since I've done both systems, when it came to their VR system, PlayStation still got like, when it comes to VR at least, like they just like, maybe Microsoft need to go to get some pointers and whatnot. I don't know. Like put the cup down. Like,
Though I do have to say another thing, which is funny, it brings back, because we're talking about how Nintendo doesn't collab. And it's funny because at the end of last year, I was reading something about how they're collaborating with a company called Starlight. And what they're doing is they're going to be making basically like hospital safe consoles.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, I was like, yo, it's pretty dope. So I guess it's going to be for like hospitals and healthcare centers, and they're going to have it a certain way, but it's going to come preloaded, or it's going to have 25 games already on it.
Yeah, like I think some of those games are like mostly like Mario games, like Mario Party. I think they had like one Pokemon title, which was I think not Just Go. What was the one that? What is it?
Let's Go.
Let's Go. That's what it was. Sorry. But yeah, like I thought that was like a really cool concept, especially for like kids who were like in terminal wards, or like, you know, even like adults like who don't really have access to anything right now because of the pandemic. Like, you know, it's really hard on them when, you know, they have to like FaceTime their families, and that's the only way they can see them. Like they can't have like that in person to person contact. So I feel like, you know, having like a gaming station, I feel like Nintendo was like, you know what, we got you. Like this year was trash, but here's this. And I think that was really nice.
well, when it comes to hospital games, the only knowledge that I really had when it comes to that was when The Rock came out with his collaboration with Xbox and putting systems in the hospitals. So I was actually going to ask more questions about that, because outside of that, like I don't really know much of it, especially in my current state. So don't laugh.
I'm not laughing at you. I'm laughing with you, girl.
There we go. Thank you.
But with the current state, that's interesting, because I didn't know that The Rock and Xbox were talking about doing that as well.
I didn't either.
Right, yeah, The Rock and Xbox have had a collaboration since the original gen Xbox. And so is even gotten to the step where it has like a limited edition exclusive, like The Rock Xbox. Like you can see like it's like his signature on the Xbox. So they put it in like different hospitals, like the same custom, like, you know, kids with terminal illnesses, they'll be able to, you know, pass the time and, you know, have something to look forward to outside of the treatments and stuff that they have. So I didn't know if what the previous topic was dealing with that, and if it was outside of that, I was like, educate me. So I mean,
it could be something that they're doing because of what happened with The Rock and Xbox, or it could just be something that doesn't have anything to do with it, and they were just doing it, I guess, because of what's going on now, you know?
Right.
Like it's definitely on brand though, I think, because like China, especially kids, that's probably the main market. So anything that benefits that is pretty good for them.
Anything that helps them make money, they're for it.
Speaking of making money, I know everybody wants to talk about this. KFC released a KFC console.
Reduce, reuse, recycle, don't
we talked about it. People are still kind of skeptical about it, but with the people, I think it was Cool Masters or whatever, with them actually having like a page and everything, people kind of make it seem like it's a little bit more legit. But I mean, there's still that skepticism about it, but I don't see why not. I mean, in 2019 they came out with the game, and last year they came out with the movie, and I mean, why not come out with a console?
Hate to sound extra black, but I mean, a console with a chicken warmer, guys. I mean,
Listen, girl, I'm right there with you.
come on,
Okay.
come on.
If I can have me some Korean fried chicken while
Exactly.
playing some
Like, am I having
games,
KFC chicken? No offense,
I'm about
guys,
to be
but
like, this finger looking good. You know, like.
looking and especially checking out the specs, it seems on par. Like
Right.
they really came to try to get into the console wars. So honestly, I'm here for it. If I can get a hold of one, I'm gonna probably try.
They probably will, but if they do so, I was reading about it, and I was looking at this whole discussion, and people were saying it's more like a mini PC because of the processors that they're using.
That's why I can heat up your chicken.
Yeah.
Who
needs water?
You can't you gotta go.
These basic essentials when you have a built-in microwave in your console, like
exactly. And like you don't even have to just keep it at chicken. I mean, just the little container they have. I'm like, you can put anything in there.
It's basically an easy bake oven with a console.
Yeah,
the easy bake oven with a console. I like that, Coco.
I do it back a little bit, but hey, those cookies were always burnt, but you were proud of your burnt cookies.
Yes.
Listen. The reason I got these voluptuous curves, okay. My parents bought me an easy bake oven. I haven't looked back since. Okay, I'm fat for a reason.
That's all those pink cookies. I mean,
yeah.
Those hips don't fall.
And I feel like it's only gonna be like great, like for this like upcoming generation to like see like this KFC console, and they're like, this is so wild. Like we can eat like fried chicken or like have like crispy fried chicken and play video games. Like who wouldn't love to do that? Like honestly, if you're saying you're not about it, that's cap.
I told people are like, well, what happens if it's like $2,000? I say, well, I guess I'm saving up $2,000. I don't even care.
It's a microwave.
It doesn't like blow off. I don't care if it blows up or if like it's something that flops. I'm gonna have it just to have it. People come in and I'm like, hey, what's that? I'm like, oh, you don't know?
Oh,
no,
you
you must have been living under a rock, fam.
I think it's interesting. It's like there's this like whole newcomer into like this realm where it's mostly been just like the big three, which were like Nintendo, Sony, and Microsoft. And now we have like a newcomer. It's like a challenger approaches. KFC. Like
you're gonna differentiate yourself from all the other people.
Right.
It has to be noticeable. Everybody is basically doing the same. Hold on. Can we cuss on here? Hold on. Like,
family friendly, Coco. Family friendly.
You basically coming into something where people are the OGs with it. So you have to differentiate yourself. So KFC was talking about self. Yes, self. Self was like, hey, how can we differentiate ourselves from the major competitors? Like, all right, you know what we can do? What is it? You know, gamers never want to leave. They always streamers. Think about streamers that do like 12, 16-hour streams. They never leave from that same spot. If you can feed them and game at the same time, you know, that'd be perfect. It's like, you know what, Self, you onto something. You making big money bank.
You know what, Coco? You literally just gave like the esports community like the biggest like sponsorship idea. There's probably gonna be like a whole row full of like KF consoles, like as soon as they have like an in-person event.
No,
did they really?
Thing with the console, if I recall correctly, I kind of want to look it up now. I thought they started at Esports Team, so there's a KFC Esports Team.
Stop, you're lying to me. Like I was already geeked out that KFC came out with a Steam game.
I don't care. KFC has been wilding out, and I hope they keep wilding out, because you know what's so weird is that out of all of 2020, you hear that KFC is making a console, and that is the good news. And you're like, you know what? I don't even know what's up with this year. Just throw it in the trash. And then now 2021, it's come out swinging hard. And I'm just like, okay, KFC, what you gonna do this year?
I mean, honestly, they've done it all. Like like you said, they did a mini series this past year with Mario Lopez as Colonel Sanders in A Recipe for Seduction. They had an anime Steam like dating RPG game where it's like, I love you, Colonel Sanders. And you could literally date Colonel Sanders. Like, and people are just generally upset that you just like couldn't like have intimate relations with Colonel Sanders. Like what? Like, you know, so KFC has like been out of pocket. And like, I feel like they're like the Arby's of like fast food. Like they just know they're weird and they embrace it and they capitalize on it. So they like they're making their coin. Like they're in the bag.
You know what? I wouldn't be surprised if they came out with some kind of KFC anime.
Or like a KFC exclusive game. Maybe it could be like an exclusive partnership between like Nintendo or something.
Oh my gosh. They should now. Now I need them to. Like, no. This game was only for KFC. Yo, you know how crazy that would be? Like, especially for, because I have like Dreamcast. That was my favorite console ever. So I keep a bunch of like the old consoles and stuff. Imagine like later, but like, oh, this game that was only for KFC console. Most people didn't play that. There was only 1,000 of them. That would be so like stupid but fun.
It would be like massive, especially like if somebody streamed it. Like people would flock to it. They would flock to it like flies. They would just like love it. They would eat it up, literally.
Pun intended.
Pun intended.
On to another topic, because we were talking about esports and whatnot. So in Shanghai, they just started the construction of a massive esports arena. It's going to be 800 in our like American money. It's $898 million.
Oh wow!
It's going to be 500,000 square meters, which I didn't get to convert in time, but 500,000 square meters that they're going to use to basically have teams to compete there and like just be based there. And I'm just like, it's gonna be crazy. China coming out strong this year. Because they're trying to basically be like the center of the esports world, starting from there with this big center.
Honestly, I feel like that's everybody though, because America is trying to be like cashing in on this. South Korea has been cashing in on this. I don't care what y'all say. Like they've been in the bag with esports, and they definitely value their players. But like it's crazy. It's booming. Like just yesterday in like Norfolk, I saw that there was like an esports center coming to MacArthur Mall. And I was like, what? And they already had one like in Chesapeake. So something like this from China is totally not expected, especially when they're like one of the most competitive countries in terms of everything. Like and gaming now too, I don't know how I see that like being like the hub, but that would be so cool to see.
I'm just wondering how it's gonna go. I mean, you're gonna have a bunch of people, especially if they're on different teams. You know, you're gonna have like this team over here, this team over there. You think there's gonna be like a lot of prank wars going on? You know what I mean? Like they're gonna mess up with they're gonna go in there and like unplug their console. Like, they're like, nope, you're not gonna play today. And they're gonna be like, why can't? What's going on?
I feel like if anything, it'd be like the NFL. They would like fine them like $20,000 or something for doing that.
No.
Yes, I feel like it would.
They had them because they were talking about building it before. I hadn't actually heard anything else about it. Because if you really watch the Overwatch stuff, like shout out Shanghai Dragons, because that's still my team. Even though they switched up a bunch of people, that's okay. I love you anyway. But they've been talking about newness forever. So like, see, that's so much money. Like that's gonna be huge. But they do have a bunch of teams, especially once they split up everything and started doing. They call it like a home. I guess they kind of split them up into like regions. So America has like I think we had like 3 different ones. California has a big one, and then I think there's a big one on East Coast in New York. And I thought we had one more, Texas or something.
I think Seattle is one, because Seattle's a big gaming hub.
Yes, so it might have been there. I know they have a couple of them, and South Korea I think they have a couple as well already. That was just for Overwatch, so I can't even imagine, because they run a lot of games, especially if you watch Worlds or any of that.
I mean, just look at like a lot of like content creators like Harris Heller, who literally started off with like Alpha Gaming and is now creating like his own like Senpai studio production kind of like gaming company. So like he started off in esports playing competitive Call of Duty, and you know, having something like this, bringing like esports to the center stage the way China's doing it, I feel like a lot of other countries are going to follow suit, and it's going to kind of be like a big thing.
China.
the sky. Just the
lovely China.
Takes aggressive sip.
A very aggressive sip before you know I start on this with the very limited knowledge that I have. So I feel like, in all seriousness, I feel like if they play their cards right, this could actually be a great way to get their foot in the door in that retrospect in gaming. I mean, they're already have their hands and feet in every parts of their body and all other aspects when it comes to selling stuff and making stuff anyway. So it's not like it's foreign to them in the first place. So China in gaming, I have very high hopes for it, actually, me personally. So I feel like if they skip.
Coco.
no, bring it. Jeopardy.
I'm trying my best. Okay, no more sips until after I'm done with my statement. Sorry, no more sips. No more sips. So I feel like China, and when it comes to the EA Sports, I actually do think that is a very good combination. They're one of the few collaborations or combinations that I can think of that they don't really need support from like outside sources, especially if they do it right on their own. So I actually like if they do it right, I can see it as big as what do you call it? Not FIFA, but like the World Cup type of thing. If
Oh
they do
yeah.
it right, eventually it would get to the status of the World Cup.
I was thinking more like the Olympics.
I
Like, do
was
you think
saying,
the
like,
Olympics
were
would have
they
it?
mentioning bringing it to the Olympics? I don't
But-
know this year or like they're still working it out, but I thought they had mentioned they were trying to bring it to the Olympics.
Interesting. I know they were bringing skateboarding into the Olympics because Japan was really big on that because it was supposed to be held in Tokyo in 2020, and now I think it's going to be hosted later this year. So that'd be really interesting to see like esports in Olympic, especially when it's like a sport that's not really. I feel like they're recognizing it more as a sport. Because like if you go on like ESPN or something, especially like before this, like late 2018, early 2019, you would see like broadcasts of like esports news and esports gaming. So I don't know. I feel like that's really cool. It's like a cool way to give like developers and producers and companies kind of like more revenue and like more like notice. And I don't know. I think it's fascinating that that's going to be considered like a money making machine. Like they're trying to profit off of it even more than they already are by charging like $60 for a title. Like they're making it into a multi-million-dollar industry, which it already was, but now it's going to be like a multi-billion-dollar industry for like countries to kind of like capitalize off of and have like official sports teams and logos and merchandise. That's wild. That's wild to me.
Well, I mean, like I feel like at the end of the day, if you're going in the Olympic route, it's a lot cheaper for other countries to participate in. So because they don't have to invest in like me when it comes to athletics. I mean, it's great to exercise and work out your body and whatnot, but if you're going to be honest with yourself, look, like it's not meant for everybody. It's like walking from the bed to your fridge is good enough exercise, and that's okay. We accept you for who you are. So when it comes to video games, I feel like it's a cheaper investment because all you have to do is like buy the game and the system and whatnot. And I feel like it's a lot easier to get acquainted with games than actually athletics, because with athletics, you either have it or you don't. You can teach anybody to play a game. Like for me, I am not a gamer. I suck at gaming. But I recently started playing Apex and give me 3-4 days and I might knock you. You might still be looting while I'm shooting at you, but I will be a force to reckon with if you give me another week or two. So, so I just feel like it is more a wide variety. Like with athletics, because of the fact that you either have it or you don't. With video games, it makes it a wider brand when it comes to, hey, I might have this issue or disability, but I can still do this because I don't have to worry about it being too too strenuous physically.
I like that. That's a good take. But like alongside that though, like you have to think about like streamers and like especially with esports, there's like a lot of controversy around like some of them because they use offensive language or they're not very PC. And this is very apparent, especially now with a new policy coming up for Twitch. Just this month on the 22nd of January, we're filming this on the 7th. And they have like a new policy where you can't say words like virgin, incel, or anything basically referring to someone's sexual orientation or gender in like a discriminatory or harassment kind of way. So like, what do you think this kind of like opens up the doors to in like terms of like esports too? Do you think that they're gonna adopt similar policies? Because like it's a money grabbing system. So if it's being regulated, it's going to be censored in some form or fashion. And a lot of the gamers that are popular do tend to either swear or kind of like say like funny things like, oh, he's a simp or they're a simp or whatever. Like and they just use it in like a joking manner. But like with these new policies coming into effect for Twitch and a lot of like attention being garnered towards esports, what are your guys' thoughts on like these kinds of things like merging and developing in the future? Do you think that that's a possibility that would happen?
So I kind of see it as like a 50-50 because gaming, obviously everybody knows, doesn't really have the best. Most people don't have a very good impression of it anyway. Of course, it gets blamed for a bunch of violence and crazy stuff like that. So the only good thing I kind of see is with it, people taking it more seriously and seeing it as a sport, like an actual thing. Then people will probably look into it a little more than that. They're like, oh, well, I guess a lot more people play video games than I thought, or everybody that plays video games isn't like some loser stuck in their basement all day and stuff like that. But on the other hand, for people that actually watch actual sports too, their dynamics aren't really the best. They do a bunch of problematic stuff and have a bunch of issues off the court. And I'm wondering if that could kind of get worse in the gaming industry, especially since I was like gaming for like, I don't know what you call it, for civilians, people that aren't like professionals. You can kind of still get like some good, some bad. It's not like terrible. But for the actual esports teams, we've seen it get really toxic to the point where they've had to break up teams and do different stuff, especially for, like you said, people that get really popular. Most of those people are built up off of that kind of stuff. So I worry if that might actually put a worse light on gaming if they start getting into like they make their own kind of culture and end up like the NFL or something where people are like, oh, those are just all bad people.
David, what are your thoughts? I see you in the background. You're like,
I don't know. I mean, it's like Emerald said, but at the end of the day, I mean, there's going to be good, there's going to be bad on both sides. I mean, even within NFL, but it's just, I think, not so much of the actual like people who game. I don't know, because it's like not too many people. I would say about 85% of gamers aren't toxic. Like they're not saying like very explicit, stupid things. You have that 15% that make everybody look bad, And I mean, I guess people do that. I mean, anytime I guess any kind of group gets together, you have that small minority of the group that does something stupid, and they try to lump everybody together, and it's like, no, you can't just, what I mean? That's like sitting there saying watching a Mike Tyson video where he bit the dude's ear off and like, all boxers bite people. And no, that's like an incident. You know what I mean? This doesn't happen every day. It's not everybody. You can't.
An individual doesn't define the collective, is what you're saying.
Yes.
It doesn't define the whole.
No, like the small
community.
group doesn't define the majority of the group.
I mess with that a little bit, but I don't know. I just have like this weird feeling like it's like a double-edged sword. Like you get a lot more promotion for gamers and gaming, but the downside is you lose a lot of authenticity. And like Emerald was saying, sometimes another con could be it gets even more toxic, and then it gets into like a separate platform or like another kind of like thing where you're just like, oh, really? They're doing this again? Like, so I don't know. I feel like it's a very double-edged sword. And I feel like they have to like tread lightly for both Twitch and for like esports growing as a legitimized sport. I think it has to come to like a good balance. And I don't know where that would start to like look good and where that would start to look bad, but they'd have to come up with like some ground rules. Like I was telling you earlier, like if somebody like got so toxic to the point where they were like throwing controllers, like would they red card them or would they like fine them like $50 like they do on like the basketball courts? Because I know if somebody like does something real nasty, they'll like fine them after the game and be like, hey, that wasn't cool. Especially like in tennis. We saw that when Serena broke her racket, what was that, in like the US Opens? So, it's just
See, they
wild.
have like we don't really have anything centralized, so I guess
Right.
that would be really good about it growing too. Because I was like,
Mhm.
there's the National Football League, there's stuff like that to kind of like group them together. We don't have anything like that for games right now.
They're like independent contractors that build like
Right.
their own teams.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
so
it
cool.
would ultimately, when it comes down, is like you said. I mean, you're gonna have to have set rules, especially when if it gets to like a national organization like the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, or any of the other, sports that are national, like everybody watches on or whatever. You're gonna have to have these rules set. You're gonna have to enforce them, and I mean, I know in was it in football? It's like you have unsportsmanlike conduct.
Yeah.
They throw a flag on that, and you do it. It's like if you do something deliberate, they're like, no, you got to go.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of the same thing. You're gonna have to set the rules, and unfortunately, with it being even with it becoming that platform, you're gonna have the negative and the positive. So you're gonna have that different polarity on each side, because there are going to be people who are going to do stupid things. It's just how it's dealt with is what's going to like define it. Like if you have somebody get up in the middle of a tournament and like throw their controller or whatever and walk away and nothing happens, that right there, you know what I mean? That in the back of all the other gamers' minds is like, okay, well, they did it and I can do it.
Right.
And then say nobody does it for like 2 years, and then somebody does it like 2 years later, and they try to find them. Well, now it's going to have that ripple effect, because they're going to like, well, why am I getting fined when this guy here, you didn't do anything to him? You know what I mean? So you're going to have rules set. You're going to have to enforce them, so that way everybody knows, like, hey, no, this is not acceptable. This is not going to happen. And I mean, even not just like referees or the whoever owns the whole thing, like you have on like the NFL, but like even on like the team levels, like you got to get like whoever the manager is or whoever controls that team. Like, no, like it's like, I don't care if it's your best player, take them out. Like, no, you're going to sit out. You're going to have to do, this is what you're going to have to do to get back up here. You're going to have to do something to control whatever the issue is. You're going to have to do something about it, because you can't, show favoritism on that part. Like, if people don't want gamers to have that negative image, you can't show favoritism and let one person slide while you're punishing other people, because it's unfair, and a lot of people are going to have an issue with that,
I agree. I was like, and we've been talking so much about like the players and the teams and that side of it, but like Chris mentioned earlier, what about the developers? We already see where they can get impressed. Shout out Cyberpunk. Sorry. Sorry, not
Yeah.
sorry.
It was bound to come up, girl. It was bound to come up. It was bound to come up.
Where they're like pressured to release these games and stuff like that. So imagine if once they do get like esports up, there's a league, there's all this. So now there's all this pressure on companies and developers to create the next big esports game, and that's gonna be a lot for them too.
It's either that, or there's going to be a lot of pressure to kind of create a little bit more I guess like space or like DLC, like more like focused DLC that's focused strictly for competitive gaming. And we kind of see that in like games like Warzone and you know, Overwatch. But you know, it kind of gets to a point where it's like, okay, well, what can we, where can we go from here? Like, how much can you reinvent the wheel? Like, we've saw it with Fall Guys where it kind of got a little bit fun. Everybody got like a little bit of, you know, like joy out of it. It was a family friendly game. And then, you know, some content creators like took it way out of hand and out of pocket. But, you know, at the same time, it's like, there's only so much you can do with gaming in a competitive level where it's just like a first person shooter. Like, I'm fascinated to see like what they would do next. Like, is there going to be like a competitive esport for like Animal Crossing? Like, who can build like the most cutest aesthetic or something? Like, I don't know. Or like somebody who can catch like the most fish or something and like bring it to Blathers and like press A the fastest. Like,
I mean, you got like, you do like a Minecraft building competition. You know what I mean? That's like the Olympics. Like, you give them an hour, just like, okay, creative mode. In an hour, you got to create the best building, and then you like, just like that's it. Then you have the judges come around, like walk through and see everything. I mean, I think that would be pretty cool to as like a competitive aspect. I mean, and you can't say, I mean, when you have like you have competitions where people, you know, like chop logs and stuff like that. I think you can find, you know what I mean? Like there's all kind of, I think there's ways that you can get creative with gaming to kind of make it competitive. It's just trying to figure out, just trying to get those ways there.
Exactly, but that's why I'm saying like I feel like it's going to be harder for like developers and like, you know, like the game creators and content creators because they're going to be burnt out. They're going to be consistently pushed, like Emeralde was saying, to create the newest, the greatest, the best. And some companies are going to be like, this is trash, I don't like this, or they're going to throw it out, or you know, and we'll see it like 10 years later, like, why didn't you release this was great. So I don't know, I'm just like really on the fence about it because it might deteriorate the quality in terms of what the players get out of it versus like, you know, and the developers, because sometimes like developers love seeing people play their games. Like, you know, if there was a feature in there that they really wanted, but like, you know, the company was pushing them like, no, this needs to be more focused on competitive gaming and esports, so we can't have this. Like, I feel like that would deteriorate a lot of aspects of the gameplay for the developer and for the person playing it.
Getting rid of their creativity, like the creative aspect of it. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Sorry to cut you off, Coco. Go ahead.
No, you're great. You keep going. No problem. But I feel like it would be a lot easier if you took like a similar mode that, like, for example, Mortal Kombat. When you play Mortal Kombat, you have the leisure mode. I don't know the terminology right now, like where you just casual and whatnot. Then you have the ranked. And when you play ranked, and you select a certain character, it's not like you can change the moves and put the spots. You know, in Mortal Kombat, you can choose which moves you can add with the variation with each character. But when you play ranked, you can't change that. It is what it is. And they use that same mode and mindset for when they do competitions. So it's not like they have to worry about if they come out with a game and they have to figure out a competition version of their game. Mortal Kombat has that mode to where if you play ranked, you can't change the variation and what moves each character has. You have 3 options when you play ranked. And if the combination of moves that you want isn't entered, then it's tough. Oh, sorry, family friend. It's SOL for you. It's SOL for you. So I feel like if people just took from Mortal Kombat and already had where their rank system has it to where you only have a set of skills or weapons or whatever the case may be. So that way, when they do have a competition for it, or when they get to the point where it's like the EA Sports or whatever, you don't have to worry about scrambling about, oh, what we're going to do when it comes to making it fair. Because it is what it is when it comes to making sure that there's no surprises and it is equal kind of thing.
I think Pokemon does the same thing too when they do like competitive battling. like they limit like the certain Pokemon that you can have and like certain moves and stuff. So I get that aspect, but then again, it comes down to the creative direction and like the enjoyability by the player. Like I feel like it takes away a lot of that funness out of it, and then it just becomes like a stale old like, you know, just like, oh, he's gonna do this, so I'm just gonna go ahead and counter it with this.
But I feel like that takes like it helps eliminate the possibility of having an OP player.
Yeah.
Because if you put all the perfect moves together and you know how to play that character very well and you top tier, then it's just like it makes it well-rounded. Like I've seen where like the quality in the matches when it comes to casual and ranked and how people fight in each of those things. Yes, some people just want to jump and punch you and just like uppercut you, even though you're all the way on the other side of the screen. That's not the point. It's just the fact that you're not going to get hit with a surprise. You already know that, oh, they chose this variation. I already know how to counter each move. That it's just like a strategy and know how to work with each character. If you chose your main, you know how to work with every single type of variation and any kind of possibility when it comes to every kind of player. That's how I feel like when you come.
It's like chess. It levels the playing field.
Right. This is Coco, and thank you for watching AGN.
This is NinjaMisfit, and thank you for watching AGN.
This was Straight Cheeks, and thank you for watching AGN. For more exclusive content, visit our website at agnonline365.com.
Hi, this is Thailand, aka Coco, and I'm live with IGN.
What's up?
It's AGN, girl. AGN. Wrong.
I think I said that too, though, didn't I?
AGN.
I didn't know until she said it.
What do I say? Let me try it again. All right. Woosah. Okay.